Good morning and welcome back. We're here at the World of Wellness during the Wine of Wellness Week. I'm your host, Jamie Dorley, with my co-host of the Jamie and Joe Show. Welcome back, Joe Massino.
Morning, everybody.
We're
Beautiful
very
day.
special. He's not a guest anymore, Joe.
Nah, he's not a
This guy's
guest.
been here as long as we have. He celebrated 20 years of being a doctor of chiropractic. He's done an incredible job. He's been my chiropractor, your chiropractor, and has helped tens of thousands of patients throughout his career. And the thoroughness of his treatment is what I like the most. Every single time it's customized to meet your needs. And he works with so many different types of people, young, old, healthy, unhealthy. So let's welcome back Dr. Gideon Orbach. Welcome back, Doc.
Thanks
How
for that
we
warm
doing today?
introduction. I hear you guys introducing me, and I just is that really me? Is that you're saying such nice things? But I missed those foul shots in 8th grade. Don't you know that? So yeah, man, what a pleasure to be here. It's as Jamie said, 20 years of practice, and I just it's like I saw a new patient yesterday, and I'm interviewing her, and I'm like chomping at the bit to get my hands on her and figure out the mechanics of her spine. And she's complaining about her hips and had a complaint that I hadn't heard somebody describe in quite a while. And it's like, please let the interview end. I got to figure this out. And I feel like a kid with a new toy that I want to play with, not to imply that my patients are toys, but making an analogy here. And I'm just as enthusiastic about this now, 20 years into it, as I was on day one. And I see the burnout of some of my classmates and some of the people I keep in touch with, and I'm like, why? What?
Do you think it's physical, or is it a mental or emotional burnout?
Well, I certainly think COVID had something to do with it, but it's also that people who follow protocols, and like the patient walks in and they know, look, I know what I'm going to do with you. Just tell me your story and lay down on the table. And as you said, I customize the treatment to the patient. And so there's a little element of where's Waldo, and I'm using my brain, and am I going to use an elbow or a thumb here? Am I going to make an adjustment to this joint, or am I going to stretch those capsules?
That sounds like my martial arts career. Am I going to use an elbow or a thumb?
Yeah. Well, all those powers can be used for good or evil.
Good or evil, right?
And for people like me and Joe that have seen you hundreds of times, the adjustment and the process is similar, but it's always a little different.
Well, you're always,
so you're based on how I'm looking coming in and what you're
it's based on like today's treatment is based on today's analysis, not based on what we did a week ago or a month ago. And how can you not be enthused about doing that? And so one of my friends, great guy, I mean, super guy, but he's a protocol chiropractor, and he's telling me like, I was looking into starting to sell durable medical equipment. You know what? I mean, as far as being a chiropractor goes, like I can understand, why you would do that, because you just did the same thing.
The bar delivers.
Oh, come on down. We got Alex Stitzel. Say hello to the millions of people out there watching.
Millions
Alex
and
is doing
millions.
His internship, not from Cray America, from Slippery Rock University.
Nice.
You want to say hello to everyone, Alex, out there? So Alex is so kind and generous to bring us a shot.
Right.
Yep.
We're doing shots of Purple Haze.
L'chaim, everybody.
So what's in this?
We're making the finest smoothies in Green Tree over here. We got the Super Shake vanilla flavor with some pro colors. We got pro purple and pro reds in there with some almond milk and fresh fruit. Can't beat
this
it.
is fantastic. So
wow.
Make sure you guys come by and check
come
it
on
out.
by for a free smoothie today. Thank you, Alex.
Absolutely.
Greatly appreciated.
Wow, that was
they
good.
always say attitude determines your altitude. That kid's got a great attitude, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Jump right in, helping out this week at the Wellness Week, making smoothies. He told me, excuse me, he was going to make the smoothie.
Oh,
yeah.
Got pushed right out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, hey, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I met him at the last professional training event, which I don't remember. That was more than weeks ago, less than months ago. And he was like, I felt myself being interviewed, that he was asking me about what I do and what goes on there and what I expect from him and what he expects. Like, I'm sorry, who are you? Intern?
Yeah.
So he's ahead
Very
of us.
enthusiastic.
Very excited,
he's
enthusiastic, and he's also the first award winner of the Mary Rose Dorley Scholarship.
Very
in my
nice.
mother's name.
Yeah, that's an excellent thing for you to do.
Yeah, it's nice because when we do this is for first generation college students like Alex and myself, right? There's no blueprint. we try to help them, give them a little bit of financial help, but also more of the mentorship to help them.
That's
I said I
important.
can save you about 5 years and a lot of heartache and pain, right?
If you're
And that's
paying
really the goal.
attention.
Yes.
If you're paying attention.
So we're excited. So thanks, Alex. So we're sitting here, of course, with the co-host, Joe Messino, to the Jamie and Joe Show. With Dr. Gideon Orbach, with over 20 years experience in the field of chiropractic. And, it's come such a long way since I first got exposed to it in the 70s. I think some people still think of back pain or neck pain or some type of car accident, right?
Yeah.
And I think when they go to some of these places, they do the 3 appointments a week for 6 months before they even know how long it'll take to help them.
Right.
So can you share a little bit about the difference on how you practice versus more of the protocol snap, crackle, pop?
Well, I think you both are very well aware from your own personal experiences working out. Like, if you want to build a big chest, I mean, you got to go do some bench pressing. That's academic. I mean, there are other exercises involved, but if you go and you bench press every day, or if you bench press 3 times a week, it's counterproductive. We got to see. We have stimulus. That stimulus might be the bench press. That stimulus might be a chiropractic adjustment, and then let's just hold off. Let's give your body a chance to recover from the stimulus. Let's see how it responds, and then come back and we'll do something appropriate. And I can't tell you what appropriate is until I meet you that next time. And I can't tell you how long it's going to take your body to just calm down and recover from the stimulus either. So when I have people who are freshly injured and really, really in acute pain, like, I'm kind of surprised to see them. I would have thought they'd have gone to the emergency room. And when they do find their way in here, maybe, just maybe, we'll meet twice in a week, twice in 10 days. But those are just true exceptions. That I have a few people that I see once a week. I have somebody that I see 6 times a month. That's a lot by my standards. Most of my patients, the overwhelming majority of my patients, are people who they've had an injury. We've been able to help them recover from it. And we look at chiropractic care as fine tuning and maintenance. And I have, I'll bet you I have literally hundreds of patients who come in about once every 2 weeks on the most often, once a quarter on the least often, and say, I've had no falls, I've no accidents, I feel okay, and I want to feel good. And
that recovery period is important.
Yes, it is.
I like the analogy. Sports, working out. You always have to give your muscles and your body a recovery period.
That's absolutely right. And what I look at, what I'm doing, and what I think most chiropractors out there are doing, whether they know it or not, is this is neurological stimulus. That we don't have bones that fall out of place. I mean, I had a patient one time, I adjusted his lumbar spine. He goes, "Oh, that must have been an inch and a half out." An inch and a half out? Are you kidding me? If it was a centimeter out, you'd have been wheeled in the emergency room in the spinal surgeon. You wouldn't have walked into the chiropractor's office. So we don't treat bones that are out of place so much as we use bones as little switches and levers, and we use muscles as switches and levers to get them to mobilize and to move through their fullest ranges of motion. And what that does is it excites the central nervous system, and now we've literally dialed up the excitability of the brain, and that means the brain is able to, through neurological mechanisms, suppress pain, discomfort, aberrant sensation. People describe numbness and tingling in their leg. We have just as good a chance of making that go away by adjusting their cervical spine, their neck, as we do spending 45 minutes working on their lower back and their legs and hips.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really enjoyed with working with you and some of the colleagues on the team here at the World of Wellness is that it's not just the adjustment; it's the muscle therapy.
Right.
And that's where I seem to experience tremendous results in a shorter period of time. So Joe, I know you've done the same. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I've been to these other types of chiropractors, and they have their protocol.
Yes,
I like the way you put that, because it's a very professional way of explaining what they do, but not putting a whole lot of thought into it or an interaction with the patient.
Right.
So I've had muscle injuries that I went to him for. Because it wasn't my spine, but it was all related somewhere along the line. And I think that's neglected in a lot of instances.
I have a mentor. His name is Ken Erickson, who practices in Jamestown, New York. And not only is he a chiropractor, and not only does he hold a diplomat in neurology, but he has a PhD from a university in England in basically in clinical thought.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do a workshop with Dr. Erickson, you'll leave angry, and you'll leave like, I want to sue every single teacher I've had since the fourth grade for malpractice. And one of the concepts, and I don't know how much of a chance I'm going to get into this in our roundtable this afternoon or later this morning or later the week, is if somebody had a headache, for example, like we could get out our eight, we could get out our 8.5 by 11 and just let's write down all the things that could possibly cause this headache.
Right.
But one thing that we neglect to mention is, what are the things that would suppress this headache that we're overlooking? Something that causes my headache has been stimulated, or something that inhibits my headache has been decreased. And so when you start to take that approach, we can sum down what we're looking for is, look, we want to stimulate the brain. We want to stimulate more central nervous system activity in order to suppress aches and pains, in order to suppress yes.
That's very similar to what we do on a nutritional basis. Is it a deficiency or a toxicity?
Right.
You know, you got to figure that out first.
Right. And I mean, I think we can all agree how critically important the nutrition is. And this is like, I mean, you know, from your bodybuilding experience or from martial arts experience that it's more what you put into your body than how much working out you do.
Yeah, because one of my mentors years ago says, well, how many hours a week do you sleep? About 50, right?
Right.
How many hours do you spend eating a week? Maybe 10. How many hours a week do you spend working out, right?
Right.
He said, so if you're not sleeping and you're not eating right, you cannot work out these things. And the same way what you do, right? If someone's got tight muscles and they're dehydrated and eating a poor diet and not getting the nutrition and the water they need, it makes it much more challenging. That's why we approach chiropractic from a holistic approach here.
Absolutely.
So it is mind, body, spirit. It is
it's a clinical experience.
Nutrition. It is chiropractic, muscle therapy, all the different things. And Joe, with the illegal scan, you must see this quite a bit. The nutritional deficiencies that maybe are tying into some of the pain patterns.
Yeah, the illegal scan is wonderful in that it either validates or shows cause. You know, and many times it's what people overlook. You know, everybody looks calcium, magnesium, but they neglect phosphorus, and that's one of the biggest deficiencies we find. And sulfur, which is involved in the healing process, right, Doc? In the body.
Sure, of course it is. And the difference between the patients, I mean, I can't say not a day goes by, but certainly several times a week, I get a chance to talk with people in the nutrition store who they're not necessarily patients, they're not necessarily long term. They're on board with what we're doing, but they're dipping their toes into it, and their response to me is, well, what can I take for this? And my response is, well, let me make sure I help you with a foundation here. But if you really want to do a deep dive and find out specific for you what to take, you got to see one of you got to do a scan with Joe, or you got to see Jeff Niznik. And I don't want maybe the 2 or 3 things that I'm going to recommend to help you get started. This is a really generic answer for what the symptoms you're describing, not specific for you. But that being said, there's such a difference in the healing rate for people who do chiropractic with me or Dr. Phil. And I don't have a monopoly on this. Go do chiropractic with Dr. Tarno up the street. He's a good guy. The patients who are doing chiropractic and hands-on treatment. Now, somebody might, for example, have a candida problem. Like, clearly that's significantly more a nutritional conversation than a mechanical conversation. But when you take the approach that, look, I'm going to have good body maintenance, I'm going to get chiropractic adjustments in conjunction with the muscle therapy in order to support my candida protocol, candida diet, what we're doing is we're making neuroplastic changes in the central nervous system, where the brain is like a plastic mold. I mean, it can be reshaped. And even at the age of 50 or 82 or 97, we can open up.
It's not too late, Joe. That's what I'm hearing.
It's not too late.
You bring up this really incredible, fascinating area of science is neuroplasticity. Right. Where you can change the way the brain actually works and functions.
Right.
You know, with the chiropractic, with nutrition, with programming, where you do these affirmations and things. So that's an exciting area of science. So how do you apply to those things what we do?
Well, the when we make chiropractic adjustments, when we do muscle therapy, basically, as I mentioned a moment ago, we're looking at the joints as being little levers and switches, and the muscles being little levers and switches. And what we're doing is we're literally flipping the levers, and we're exciting the brain. And what we know, I mean, which is just it's so well documented in the professional literature that when you make adjustments to, let's talk about the spine because this is chiropractic, but it's no less so the case with the feet, no less so the case with the elbow. You have neurological tissue that lives in those joints, and with that neurological tissue, they're called pressure-sensitive joint mechanoreceptors. And what they do is when they're depolarized or when they're activated, they send messages into the first the peripheral nervous system. From there, in the peripheral nervous system being all the nerves that you have in your arms, your legs, your torso, nerves that are not encased in bone. So we move from the peripheral nervous system to the spinal cord, which is wrapped up in the vertebrae, it's encased in bone. And then from the spinal cord, it's going to ascend to the brain and excite or stimulate certain parts of the brain in the what we call the somatosensory cortex. The somatosensory cortex being soma is the body, sensory is what you feel, what you experience, and the cortex is the part of your brain. So we're exciting the areas of the brain that perceive sensation.
It all happens in a nanosecond.
And if
doesn't
he
it?
was my teacher in college, Joe, I would think I would have did much better on some of those really hard anatomy and physiology classes. Because the way you explain it, but I want to bring this back to reality for people, okay? Because one of the most famous cases that's never discussed, now he wasn't a patient here, but he did work under, I think, one of your mentors, Dr. Ted Carrick, right?
Yes.
Is Sidney Crosby. I got chills. I was sitting in Joe's living room on New Year's Day years ago. They did the outdoor game against, and at the end of the second period, they were all skating off. Crosby guy got hit, laying on the ice, right? So he was working with the local experts here at UPMC for about 6 or 8 months, Joe, with how much improvement?
None. Zero.
Zero improvement. And they were saying it was concussion.
Yeah.
They brought in Dr. Ted Carrick. I still remember the guy on the radio saying, uh-oh.
Here comes the quack.
He goes, this guy is such a quack. He went to Life University, not knowing that this is actually one of the top schools in the country.
Right.
So Dr. Ted Carrick comes in and says, no, Crosby doesn't have concussion. He has whiplash.
That's right. Yeah. That's absolutely right.
And within 4 days, he showed improvement. And not only came back, we thought his career was over. Came back, won multiple cups. And here we are 10 years later, forgetting about this. So, Joe, remember this?
Oh, God, I do remember that. And, you know, I mean, everybody thought, oh, it's got to be a concussion, not just the doctor. Because that's your first reaction. Right. But, you know, and that is so interesting because, you know, we have a colleague who had a mild concussion not too long ago, but also was suffering from whiplash. Because if you think about it, anytime you hit the head, there's going to be some sort of whiplash repercussion, right?
And so Dr. Carrick treated Sidney Crosby as whiplash being the primary injury. And what do you think whiplash is? I mean, it's this severe whipping forward and backward, or maybe side to side of the neck, of the cervical spine, the upper thoracic spine, disrupting pressure-sensitive joint mechanoreceptors, creating muscle spasms where the injured party will guard their neck so severely that they don't want to move, that they can't move. So those receptors never get a chance to
fire again. So
that's
a conscious reaction and subconscious, right? Where the muscles are guarding.
That's subconscious. That's reflexive. It's a reflexive response.
It's just interesting how all those things work together.
Gee, when you think of the number of concussions in sports, I wonder how many times they failed to even examine a whiplash repercussion.
That's right. Now, here's the beautiful thing: that when you think about what's a concussion, I mean, there's so many areas of the brain that can be injured. I mean, a concussion it's a hit to the head. It's called a coup or counter coup lesion, where is the injury on the side that you make impact with, or is the injury on the opposite side? You have to do a very, very thorough examination. You really, really have to know your stuff just to determine which side of the head the injury really is, because it's not necessarily the side that's been impacted.
I think the whole goal is to give people hope, right? Oftentimes they're told something we learned the other day, right? Pray and believe, drastic lifestyle changes and separate yourself from your diagnosis, because just because someone diagnosed you doesn't mean that's the cure. That's really describing what's going on. And here's a guy that could have been permanently out of the league and he came back for 10 years. So folks, if you are suffering with anything to go with pain, headaches, concussion, neck, back, anything to do with an injury or pain, we are accepting new patients here. Just give us a call at 412-922-WELL. That's 412-922-9355. And what we do is we customize the program for you and the healthcare professional. We have Dr. O, of course, here. We have Dr. Phil. We have muscle therapy. We have nutrition. We have different types of technologies we can utilize and pull in when we need them, like the laser, the muscle gun. We have things like cupping. So we customize the program based on where you are right now and where we're trying to get you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing that people will gain from this whole week is to see the variety of what's offered. It's a true wellness center, and you have to have all these things. And Doc, you've been, so unique in your practice all these years. You've already incorporated a lot of other modalities. And how many times have you said to a patient, you need to see this, specialist, or you need this, and you've crossed the gap with digestive issues, right? When you brought up candida, well, there's always a digestive issue.
Well, I go out of my way to, it's got to be a team approach. I can't. I wish I could do it all by myself. I wish I could fire everybody and say, "I'll just look. If you need to say somebody, it's me."
Not you, Kyle. He didn't mean you.
But it doesn't work like that. And when you think about the size of natural health, and then you think about the size of chiropractic with a neurological emphasis. I mean, I don't even have a fraction of this by myself. And you know what? And I'm not an arrogant guy, but I'm going to say it. I think I have a pretty good handle on what I do.
No time to be humble, Doc.
No time to be humble.
I mean, I think
you've helped so many patients out there, and the uniqueness of how you practice is, that's to be commended.
But I thank you for agreeing with me on that one. but the reality is, I have like my area of expertise. I feel like I can offer so much help to so many different people in so many different ways, but it's still just a sliver of what human beings really need. So I wish all of my patients, if you're my patient and you're listening, 100% of you, I wish you'd all go for nutritional consultation at least once or twice and get a professional nutritionist who's like their area of expertise in what they do is just as tiny as my area of expertise in what I do is, but it's still far greater than you're going to get anywhere else.
We offer some really unique testing now in the nutrients. We offer the Oligo scan, which does toxicity, nutritional deficiencies, antioxidant levels. We also offer through our registered nurse, Kylie here, the Zyto scan, right, which is a fantastic way to really look at what are some of the underlying causes you're dealing with. And when you work with patients, you mentioned there's really 3 foundational nutrients that you recommend. So what are those? Because I know when you're recommending these are the ones that people are most deficient in and that can give them the most support right away.
Right. Well, I mean, my biggest recommendation in terms of, look, how are we going to accomplish the most by doing the least is fish oil. I mean, the DHA is such a neurological enhancer. It's brain food. And I mean, like my whole presentation, as we sit here and talk amongst each other, my presentation to my patient population, my presentation to anyone who will listen to me is like, how are we stimulating the brain? So let's feed it with the DHA. And the EPA in the fish oil is such a potent anti-inflammatory, and it's so important for cardiovascular health. And like I'm open to being talked out of fish oil and into SPM. I'm open to it.
Well, fish oil is still the foundation, right, Joe?
Yes.
Right.
And not all fish oil is created equal. Why don't you comment on that?
No, I mean, it's not.
There's a lot of confusion.
There's so much confusion. And really, with fish oil, and there's therapeutic levels, and there's window dressing on these bottles that are cheap. So you need a very thorough therapeutic level of fish oil on a regular basis, which we have in omega-3D.
Right.
And not only that, with SPM, we need it because we're so deficient in omegas.
Yes, sir.
If we were at the height of omega-3 capacity in our bodies, we'd be making SPMs.
Right.
So that's the connection. We actually need both.
Yeah, and the fish oil I think it's really the foundation of everyone's program because the essential fats become the cell membranes of every cell in the body.
That's right.
Right. You look at the brain, 70% fish oil, right? You look at the eyes, the nervous system, which we're talking about, all needs the fish oil for conductivity, right? You look at every cell in the body. If those cells are not really hydrated with oils, they become hard and sticky, and they age much quicker.
Right. So
We
true.
always say, look at a grape versus a raisin. So I love fish oil. I do a teaspoon every morning of the liquid omega to get the
Liquid
maximum
omega.
dose in. And then, Joe, how do we add the SPMs on top? Because that's a little bit of controversy now. Is like, what do we use? How do we use
Yeah,
them?
yeah,
Use
it's
them together.
as we said, the SPMs. Your body can make them in small amounts. We make a lot of them as an infant, newborn, and that's the foundation for anti-inflammatories in the body. Now, like I said, if you had ample amounts, if you were having enough fish oil therapeutically every day for your whole life, you wouldn't need SPMs. But we need to supplement with SPMs because it's going to get down in that deeper systemic inflammatory pathway where the actual raw fish oil can't. So it gets to a different
Especially
level.
some of these more chronic. I was just talking to a colleague this morning, and her mom's dealing with. It started out as sciatica, then it was drop foot. There's nerve damage in the hip. She's still walking with a cane. So I said, look, we're gonna get her on SPMs because this is something we need to bring in the heavy anti-inflammatory. I also
the big
recommend
guns.
Omega,
Yeah.
X Flame, and HA Plus. So they all have a role. We just need to know when. But I agree. Omega should be foundation. What would be number 2 on your list?
Well, number 2, I've promoted turmeric. It's also brain food. It's also an anti-inflammatory, and it's also a good digestive aid. My number 3 has become D3. That
little curveball with the D3. Okay.
like I said, I mean, we're constantly growing and we're learning more, and we're doing more study of our patients. We're studying ourselves, and we're learning what we really need. And if you'd have asked me for my top 10, I'll bet you my top 10 is very similar to yours and very similar to yours. And the reason why I've promoted D3 to be in my top 3 is, we had a 2.5-year flu season that
I like that.
What good is any of this if your immune system isn't strong enough to let you get out of bed in the morning? I mean, if you're feeling under the weather, get up and go through your day. If you're sick, stay home and get well. And so if you're somebody who's prone to flu and colds and virus and 2.5-year flu season and whatever, and you spend all that time homesick, like, everything we say is just it's a nice entertainment. We can't do anything for you if you can't physically get here.
So, Joe, I love it. Top 3 from Dr. O is omega 3s. We like the liquid by Nutritional Frontier or the soft gel. Number 2 is the turmeric plus by Nutritional Frontiers. And 3 is D3. So, Joe, the second one, turmeric plus. Let's talk about that because we use the curcumin, which is the most bioavailable form of curcumin on the market.
Right.
So let's talk about that and the addition of the bioperine.
Well, the thing with turmeric or curcumin, is that it's been known about for thousands of years. They've been using it in Ayurvedic medicine, and I'll tell you a little clinical pearl. There's even a school of thought out there that thinks that the gifts by the wise men were frankincense, myrrh, and turmeric, not gold. How about that? Because it has a gold color, doesn't it? But they were using healing herbs. So that's how important it is.
Right.
The problem was always bioavailability, right? So over the years, there's been better versions of it, more bioavailable. Then when you bring in a PRT, patented research trademark form of it, that has the science that shows the bioavailability, add in a little black pepper, make sure that it really gets in. Now you're getting the benefit it was always meant to be.
Right.
So what type of dose do you recommend with the turmeric plus?
Yeah, with the turmeric plus, I think you can do about 250 to 500 milligrams on a regular basis. If you need more for inflammatory issues, you can go higher.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say,
you, Doc?
I don't want to say that the sky is the limit. I mean, that's not true.
No, usually up to 2,000.
Yeah,
up to if you need it. Yeah.
But it's fluid. That somebody who's in an acute inflamed state is going to need more than somebody who's like, hey, I'm doing okay. I want to do good. I'm going to take 2 capsules as part of my daily routine. we're talking about two entirely different case scenarios. So we would talk about two entirely different dosages.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the Omegas, we got Turmeric Plus now, D3 to help us during this 2.5 year flu season. I love that. So
I
I
do
think
too.
the flu season may just continue.
Yeah.
So Joe, let's really clarify, because D3, it wasn't that long ago, 400 I used was
Oh,
high,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
And then you had recommended years ago 10,000. So D3 for what and how much?
A couple of years ago, I started calling flu season D3D season, D3 deficiency season.
Mhm.
A 2.5 year course of that has been upon us. And the reason is very, very simple. It is a catalyst for your immune system. It's the only nutrient we get from the sun. The only thing we get from the sun is vitamin D3. And unfortunately, we can't get enough of the sun. We can't convert it. And there's other factors like, if you don't have ample amounts of cholesterol in your body, you can't convert the UVB rays into cholecalciferol.
Well, who's
So
out in the sun enough anyway?
nobody's out in
If
it.
they are, they're covered up
with
And if you
sunscreen.
use, just cover up with clothes or a hat. And then if you use sunscreen that has 15 or higher, you block 99%.
You
of
do. You block
absorbability,
it.
right?
Right.
And people say, well, how come you don't use sunscreen? I says, on rare occasions, if I'm in Florida and I haven't been out in a long time, yeah.
Right.
What I do is I slowly go out in the sun.
Yeah.
I've been using the CBD cream,
Yeah,
just
nice,
on
yeah.
the face and head,
Yeah.
and get some extra benefits there. So D3, how much? I actually use the liquid Omega and liquid D3 together
Yeah.
first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
So how much
Yeah.
D3?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm sticking to the 10,000. I think as a rule, we need 10,000. I use on a daily basis. Kids 5 to 10 as well. Infants, even infants. I mean, you can. It's safe. There's no issue. And the big fallacy with D3 is that it is actually a hormone in the body, not a vitamin. So it being a fat soluble vitamin and you're getting too much of it is a fallacy. Don't listen to that. You need D3 on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a simple blood check, right? When you're getting your blood work done,
Yeah.
just got to check the box, do the D3. The challenge with D3 is the range, right?
Yeah.
It's like go back to school.
Yeah.
100 is perfect. 30 would be severely failing, but that's
Yeah.
the range for D3.
Yeah.
So D3 should be like your test scores, minimum of 70, preferably closer to 100 as you can get.
Mhm.
And don't worry, sometimes you get 100 or 105. That's rare. There's no concern there. So 5 to 10,000 per day. So I got to ask one more question, because I know this used to be on your top 3, but
Mhm.
where does magnesium play a role? Because I know you're a big mag guy.
You asked me for 3.
I
I mean,
know.
if you just magnesium's got to be 4, it's got to be 5. But I got to tell you, I work in approximately 70 square feet, one-on-one with one person at a time. Sometimes people bring in a partner or a child. There's nobody more exposed to flu season than I am. One patient after another.
That's true.
And at the beginning of flu season, I was taking like I think there's 2,000 units of D in the appropriate dose of omega-3D.
Yeah.
So I had my 5,000 D plus the D that I was getting. I jumped that up to 10,000 of D per day plus another extra serving of the fish oil. So I'm taking at least 14,000 units of D a day. And like this whole flu season, I felt healthier than I usually do. Like susceptible to what? Why didn't I make this increase 5 years ago?
What?
So that's why I promoted D to my top 3. But you could very easily call magnesium 3, 3.5,
Yeah.
3A, 3.
Well, I love
Yeah.
it because, a lot of people looked at this whole flu season, as you would call it, and their health dramatically regressed,
Yes,
right?
it did.
To the point you saw tremendous weight gain, right?
Right.
We saw immune dysfunction where
Mhm.
some people were in the hospital, some people passed, right?
Mhm.
And then we looked at, here comes the emotional
Yeah. We haven't even
dysfunction.
begun to address
Right?
that. Yeah.
And that's my biggest concern. And we
Yeah.
predicted this when our team got together at the
Mhm.
beginning. Is we said it's going to be immune, weight, and then the emotions, because
Yeah.
people need the interaction. So
Right.
and then other people like our team took this as an opportunity to maybe recharge
Yeah.
and let go of things and
Yeah.
grow together. So once again, you got to look at these as opportunities to grow,
Right.
And
Yes.
wellness has never been more important than
Right.
than it is right now. So, Joe, how do people get involved with us?
Well, it's really simple. If you're watching, get on down here because we're here all week.
Yes,
Right,
we are.
Doc? We're here all week. We do this Wellness Week 5 times a year. It's a great day. I mean, a great time to get implemented to everything we do. But just give us a call. Schedule appointment immediately, 412-922-9355. If you need to see Dr. Orbach, Dr. Phil, Jeff Nisnik, want to get a scan, want to find out where you start, because isn't that the most important thing? You can't get to where you want to be if you don't know where you're starting from.
That's so true. And you know what? I know we're in the end stage and wrapping it up and all, but before we do, I got to compliment and congratulate my colleague, Dr. Phil Ross. I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag, but he just passed a very, very difficult test and he achieved a new certification. He's a certified chiropractic sports physician now, and I mean, there are a lot of people who've struck out on that test. I mean, it's not a gimme, and he put in a lot of work, and he did very well.
Yeah, that says a lot about you guys
Yeah.
when you continue your education.
Right.
You get on new certifications and licensing that maybe isn't mandatory,
Right.
but
we do it anyway.
Seeked out, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that a lot of people want to get, but they may not put the time in
Right.
To get it. So that is incredible.
And you do that every year too, don't you?
Well, we have to do. Well, we're required to do a certain amount of continuing ed. But the thing of it is, like when I was in chiropractic school, I was looking over my notes fairly recently because I did go to a continuing ed class with this organization. It's called the Motion Palpation Institute. Those are my homeboys. So anyhow, when I write an alumni check every year, I write it to the Motion Palpation Institute, not to the school that I graduated from. But when I was in chiropractic school, I did over 800 continuing ed hours as a student in biomechanics, technique, and neurology and clinical thought. So for context, you need 24 hours in 2 years to renew your Pennsylvania license. So 2 weekends a month, I was on the road somewhere taking a continuing ed class for 4 years straight. Now, there are a number of different organizations that, like, you take our 12-hour class and we give you a certification in something. And that's how you see these people who have alphabet soup after their name. Everything, I mean, I am DC, Doctor of Chiropractic, and I also have a PSP, which was it was over a year's worth of one thing. Dr. Ross has that certified chiropractic physician, CCSP. That's not a 12-hour class. That's like 10 12-hour classes, and you got to study for each one and prepare for each module. So we could very easily all have like 15 or 20 letters after our names that are just meaningless as far as I'm concerned. But both Dr. Ross and I have a similar attitude. Like, let's keep it to a minimum, but let's only do things that really, really matter. Not just, oh wow, I certified in a technique and it took me 12 hours to do it.
Yeah, and this goes right on top of Joe, his certification and work with golfers, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that is pretty unique. And we've done a few videos on it, and I'm going to continue to talk about that because you don't see it very often, and it's really it's from the association, a golfing association. So
you want to improve your golf game. I can't guarantee it, but you'll feel a lot better. It's the only sport where the ball's not moving,
right?
And it's so hard to hit.
Right. That's a good
baseball's
point.
coming in 90 miles an hour. They hit the ball, but that ball's just sitting there and it acts like it's moving. But seriously, a lot of golfers I used to work with as a personal trainer, a lot of lower back tightness, hamstrings, pain. But if you come down to me with these guys, we can help you get more limber, help you recover, and help you get through some of the challenges you may have. Because I know a lot of people take golf very seriously. But it could be any sport or activity. But I do like the lifetime sports, tennis, golf, walking, exercise, things like that. So if you want to make an appointment, give us a call, 412-922-WELL, 412-922-9355.
I'm going to throw out a little, I think it's called a teaser, but I know I'm scheduled to do another roundtable later this morning with you, Joe, and with Dr. Ross.
Yeah.
I'm not certified. I don't want you to think I am what I'm not. I'm not pretending anything, but I've worked with quite a few professional golfers myself. And one of the things that we found, I mean, you mentioned lower back, but we've done a lot of work with golfers' feet. And that has really, like, you have a certain routine and it's going okay, but it's not going great. So you scratch your head and say, what am I missing here? I mean, let me stare at all of these trees and make sure that I'm seeing, aha, I know what I got to do. And one particular fellow that I worked with, once I started working with his feet, night and day, not night and day. He was a professional golfer. Dramatic changes in his performance, and he came back to the clinic and just absolutely marveled, and it was embarrassing, and like nobody ever thought to do.
What a
Like,
great point. It is the foundation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
If the feet are off, I mean,
right,
the whole posture
Exactly.
and
right,
gait's going to be
right,
off.
right.
Well, before you guys finish up, I'm going to have to excuse myself. Our man in New England, Rashid, has a Zoom call he needs me on in 5 minutes.
Oh,
So
this guy. So I'll
he-
take I'll
he's
take
there.
the 10
You-
o'clock. All good.
all right.
Okay.
Thanks,
So
Doc.
thanks, Joe.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thank you
I'll
so
see you
much.
guys later.
Thanks
And
for all the
if
help.
you have any opening, I might need a little.
I'm
little-
sure. I think you know people here.
Yeah,
We'll
I think
take
so.
it.
If not, Joe, I crack bones for a living.
Yeah,
too, so
thanks.
we'll
I'll
get you
pass.
in.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, Joe. Thanks, Dr. Orbach.
Mhm.
We appreciate all the great work you're doing. This guy practices the way you should be treated, and he does an incredible job for over 20 years. I mean, originally the Pain Release Clinic, then the Wine and Wellness Center, and now World of Wellness. So thanks so much, Doc. Any parting shots for people? How do they get involved?
Well, get involved by giving us a call. What we say, 412-922-WELL, and that's 9355. And you know what? I mean, when you look at where people set up chiropractic clinics, it's usually like there are other synergistic businesses in the strip mall. We are a destination. We don't have synergistic businesses around the corner. We have people who come here and maybe
Morning.
they don't necessarily have an
Morning, bud.
appointment, but they came to they came to browse through the nutrition store, ask questions. There's literature all over the place here. We got a few uh, like I don't know what to call it, like more than a poster, but displays and everybody, like if I'm behind schedule and I'm got 3 patients waiting, now's not the time to say, "Are you Dr. Orbach? Could I heard like I'm sorry, I'm sticking to my schedule and I'm in a rush." But in down moments, I float around the
Oh,
building
yeah, you're
meeting
always
people.
helping people.
We have a front desk staff of people who really understand what it is that we're doing here. You're here in the building certain hours of the week. If when you're not here, Joe is here floating around. There's always somebody who can answer your questions, introduce themselves, talk to you for a couple minutes. I mean, we're not actively and aggressively trying to convert everybody who walks through the door into a patient. We want you to want to be a patient here, and we behave that way.
Yeah, the way I
and
explain it to people is just like your car.
Yeah.
You can pay me now or pay me later, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, some cars need more maintenance than others. Sometimes you gotta,
Right.
fix some things. But it helps me a lot, maintain the quality of life,
Mhm.
right? So I can be active. You can
Mhm.
do your activities and do
Mhm.
your exercise and get in and out of cars. And I travel a lot,
Sure.
so it really helps me a lot. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing because I think sometimes people wait till they get hurt. This could be more proactive.
Right. Exactly. Think of what we're doing here as prehab. We're
Prehab,
prehabbing.
I like it.
We're prehabbing for life. Look, every single one of us is susceptible. Like you're going to cross the street and you're standing on the corner and you look down on the street and you eyeball measurement that curb is a 4-inch drop, but it's really a 6-inch drop. And you step down and there are 2 inches of space where you're just lost in space and you slam your foot into the street. I mean, who has that not happened with?
Even
I mean,
people I hear all the time, and it happened to me. You
Yeah.
fall asleep on a plane
Right,
or on
right,
the couch or in
right,
your bed or wherever
right.
it may be,
And-
and you
and-
just your body doesn't really feel right when you
Right,
get up.
right. And you have that experience. And some people are really, really going to truly hurt from that. And some people are going to be like, "Oh, that was strange," and get on
Yeah.
with their day.
And you
We're-
combine that with stress,
Mhm.
with driving
Mhm.
and working out, then maybe
Yeah.
it compounds.
Right. And so what we're doing is we're prehabbing for that moment and preparing your body for those little rhythm of life things that you could get hurt, but you just shrug it off and keep going because your body is conditioned to be able to deal with changes in the environment that you're unused to. That's
Well,
what we're
folks,
doing
here
here.
you go. It doesn't matter what stage in your wellness journey you're at. Doesn't matter if you're healthy or hurting. You need to make an appointment with our doctors here. We have Dr. Gideon Orbach, Dr. Philip Ross. They're here to help and customize a program to help you get to where you want to go based on where you are now. So give us a call, 412-922-WELL, 412-922-9355. We know your tremendous volume of patients. We appreciate your time. Thanks, Doc.
What a pleasure.
Thank you.